Hi, everyone. I'm Ed Rachowski, Senior Product Marketing Manager here at Bright Security. And today I'm joined with Bright's CEO, Gadi Bashvitz, and we're going to talk about what steps we've taken to make DAST easier to adopt and implement.
Great. Thanks, Edward, and thanks, everybody, for listening. As we discussed in our last session, and I don't know if everybody is watching this, watch that segment, but we talked about what made DAST difficult to implement, or what made legacy DAST difficult to implement. Over the last, we've been around for 5 years now. It's September 2023. But over the last 3 years is really where we've been focused on developer-centric DAST. And one of the main goals of developer-centric DAST is to overcome those challenges that have made DAST very hard to implement, or legacy DAST very hard to implement. And we believe that the steps that we've taken really make it much easier to adopt a modern DAST solution, because we are one by one eliminating those key challenges. And the way we look at it is, if the challenges are related to access to the environment, or related to authentication, or related to length of scans, or related to the owner of the scans and who is actually running them, there are things that you can do for each and every one of those areas to circumvent them or make it easier. And the key thing that you can do is by shifting the focus of running your DAST solution from very late in the development lifecycle in a pre-production environment to much earlier in the life cycle, and having, first of all, the owner of the scans being a different owner. Instead of AppSec having ownership of doing all the day-to-day work and all the day-to-day scans, right, we're going to shift that onus and that ownership to developers. AppSec still has a key role around defining the governance and making sure that they collate and collect all the information afterwards and can report on it effectively and can guide. But the actual work is done by the developers, and we're not claiming that 100% of the work can be done by developers, right? What we're saying is, let's assume you start scanning much, much earlier, and you're running scans as part of the IDE or as part of your unit testing or integration testing. Those are all things that can be done by developers, and you can get a 70 to 80% coverage and find 70 to 80% of all your high, critical, medium vulnerabilities. That already eliminates a lot of the work that you couldn't have done earlier, right? That last 20% of scans, yes, it will be more complex. It will require more work, but assume that you can do 80% of the work without all of that onus. That is an amazing achievement and amazing progress for organizations. How do we do that? Let's address the items one by one. The first one is really, how do we get access to the applications, right? We described the fact that it's much harder to get access in a pre-production environment. However, if you're connecting directly to the IDE and all you need to do is install a component that's a plugin to your IDE, or install a component that's a plugin to your unit testing solution, that is very easy, because we just add a component to the marketplace, and you can find that for various marketplaces right now. Reach out to us on any of our channels, and we're happy to guide you correctly, or just go to Jira and you can find some of those plugins. And that means that a developer now can run these scans right on their machines. The installation is very easy. Getting access to the application itself is very easy. You're not blocked anywhere. None of those things that are preventing you from running the scans effectively very late in the development lifecycle exist at that early stage, right? So access is very easy. The second thing that doesn't exist at that step is authentication. So you're circumventing the need for many of the difficult authentication schemes. Or alternatively, if authentication does exist, now it's the developer that's implementing the authentication, and the developer already knows the authentication because they're the one that built it from the beginning. So you don't have to have AppSec now going to developers and begging for them for credentials. No, the developer has all that information, and they can easily run that as part of the DAST scans. The next component is length of scans, or scan duration. Now that we're focused and we're running these scans early, we have two key advantages. Advantage number one is we don't need to scan the entire application, right? We're looking at those snippets of 1 to 2, maybe 5 entry points, 1 to 2, maybe 5 parameters that we're going to scan. And we're only focused on a specific subset of tests that we're running. So we'll run some XSS and LFI and OSI, and maybe a bit later in the development lifecycle, we'll scan for SQL injections and SSRFs. But those are very focused scans that enable you to find these vulnerabilities in a very condensed time frame. And we're seeing some of our customers that are scanning very early, running 30-second DAST scans. We're very far from those 4 to 5 day DAST scans. And obviously, as you build on it, the scans get longer, but being able to find a large majority early enables you to make sure that you're eliminating a lot of the vulnerabilities in a simple manner to scan. So 2 more factors that are important are, 1, that you can actually have the developers remediate the scans, the vulnerabilities right there on the spot, which means that remediation is much, much faster. And you're not encountering the challenge of, well, now that vulnerability is already in production, and now I need to find time as the developer to actually fix it. And it takes me much, much longer to fix a vulnerability that's already in production versus having the ability to fix a vulnerability early on. By the way, one of the other things that we've done is made sure that the developer is getting proof of vulnerability and remediation guidelines so they can fix those vulnerabilities very quickly, and they can trust the fact that these vulnerabilities are true vulnerabilities and not false positives. So they're not wasting their time on remediating them. And so those are all very, very important components that we've implemented to overcome each and every one of the challenges that you had implementing legacy DAST solutions.
Thank you, Gadi. It sounds like Bright is easy to adopt by our customers.
It's definitely easier than legacy DAST was, right? Again, if you're trying to get that 100% coverage, you will have to do everything that you wanted to do with legacy DAST solutions. And we definitely recommend that. But if you can eliminate 80% of the issues with a very easy implementation, that gets you started much, much faster and gets you to positive impact and ROI in a much faster way. By the way, I recommend viewing the other video that we have regarding the ROI of Developer-Centric DAST that will explain how we're able to achieve that very effectively.
Thank you for mentioning it, Gadi. Everyone, we have a great video after this that talks about the ROI of running DAST. Thank you, Gadi, for your time today.
Excellent. Thanks, everybody.